Before you scroll past this video, take a second to ask yourself a question. When was the last time you felt truly alone with your own thoughts? Untouched by a notification, an algorithm, or a feed telling you what to feel next? If you can't remember, you're not alone. Because something vast, invisible, and disturbingly intelligent has been shaping that silence, curating your emotions, and feeding your mind for over a decade. This is the dark hidden secret about social media, the truth that tech companies never wanted you to see. But tonight, we're pulling back the digital curtain. Before we begin, subscribe to this channel, because what you're about to discover might just change the way you see your phone, your mind, and the world forever. In the beginning, social media promised something beautiful: connection, freedom, a chance to belong. It was the age of sharing, when every selfie, every tweet, every post was a digital footprint of who we were becoming. But behind the friendly blue logos and cheerful notifications, something else was awakening. A system designed not to serve humanity but to study it, to learn our impulses, measure our emotions, and eventually manipulate them. Social media was never built to connect us. It was built to consume us. Let's go back to the late 2000s. Facebook was exploding in popularity. Twitter was reshaping public conversation. YouTube was becoming the new television. And the internet, it was alive with promise. But inside Silicon Valley boardrooms, another conversation was unfolding. Investors wanted growth, endless engagement, more time on screen. The question was simple: how do you keep billions of people scrolling by without forcing them to? That question would give birth to the greatest psychological experiment in human history. It began with metrics, likes, shares, comments, tiny pieces of digital validation that told your brain, you matter. But here's the secret. Those weren't designed to make you happy. They were designed to hook you. Every time you saw a like appear on your post, your brain released a small dose of dopamine, the same chemical triggered by gambling and drugs. You weren't sharing to connect anymore. You were sharing to feel rewarded, and the more you scrolled, the more the system learned about what made you react. It wasn't long before the algorithms realized something powerful and dangerous. You didn't have to enjoy what you saw to stay online. You just had to feel something. At first it was innocent. The platform simply showed you what you liked. But the algorithm evolved. It began to predict what you might like, and then what would keep you hooked. It learned that outrage spreads faster than joy, that anger gets more clicks than empathy, that fear holds attention longer than facts. And so it optimized for that. Bit by bit, your feed became a carefully engineered theater of emotion, designed not to inform you but to provoke you. You became the product, your data, the currency, your attention, the prize. Behind every scroll, 1,000 tiny calculations determined what you'd see next, who you'd hate, what you'd buy, even what you'd believe. The real genius of social media isn't in its code, it's in its psychology. By studying billions of users, platforms discovered something chilling. You don't have to control people directly to control their world. You just have to control the information they consume. And so began a silent war for your attention. Every sound, every color, every vibration was tested, measured, and optimized for one goal: to make you stay. When you pull down to refresh your feed, that's not just a design choice. It's modeled after a slot machine. Each time you swipe, your brain asks, will I win something this time? And when the new post appears, boom, dopamine. You've just been rewarded, except you didn't win money. You won nothing. Just another moment lost to the feed. Over time, the average person began checking their phone over 150 times a day. The average teen more than 300. What began as a tool of connection had become a digital leash, a whispering voice in your pocket calling you back. Every ping, every buzz, every unread notification was another invitation to re-enter the system. And like all addicts, we told ourselves we could stop any time, but could we? The danger wasn't just time lost, and it was truth itself. Because the more data social media gathered, the better it became at showing each of us a slightly different version of reality. If you leaned left politically, your feed confirmed it. If you leaned right, your feed also confirmed it. If you feared something, and your feed amplified that fear. We stopped living in one shared world. We began living in billions of separate, personalized realities, each algorithmically designed to keep us outraged, afraid, and endlessly scrolling. And in that fragmentation, something profound happened. We lost our ability to agree on what's true. By now, the system wasn't just reflecting our behavior, it was shaping it. It learned to anticipate breakups, detect depression, and even predict political movements before they happened. Entire nations were nudged, elections swayed, and riots sparked, not by leaders but by data-driven algorithms fine-tuned to maximize engagement. The system had become so advanced that no single human could explain how it worked anymore. Even its creators had lost control, and that was just the beginning. In the next chapter, we'll explore the weapon no one saw coming, how the very psychology of your brain became the blueprint for control. This is the dark hidden secret about social media. Part, the psychology of addiction. When we hear that word, we imagine drugs, alcohol, or gambling. But today, the most common and most underestimated addiction on earth fits right in your pocket. Social media doesn't look dangerous. It looks harmless, playful, even friendly. But beneath the glow of every like and every heart lies a system deliberately designed to hijack your brain's reward circuits, the same ones that drive every form of dependency known to humankind. This is not an accident, it is architecture. To understand how we got here, we need to understand the hook model, the psychological blueprint behind almost every major app. The hook model, developed by behavioral designers, has 4 stages: trigger, action, reward, and investment. Let's break that down. The trigger. It begins with a trigger, an external cue like a notification sound, a vibration, a little red dot glowing beside an app icon. These triggers are designed to spark curiosity and urgency. Your brain sees that tiny red number and immediately wonders, who messaged me? What did they say? What am I missing? It's a powerful cocktail of curiosity and FOMO, the fear of missing out. And once your brain learns that checking brings relief from that tension, you're hooked. But here's where it gets darker. Over time, social media doesn't even need the external triggers anymore. You become your own trigger. You start opening the app without a notification. Your fingers move automatically, seeking that next hit of stimulation. Your mind has been trained, Pavlovian style, to seek the reward. The action. The next stage is action, the simplest possible behavior that leads to a reward. For social media, that action is a scroll. One thumb swipe, that's all it takes. It's effortless, frictionless, addictive by design. The platform studied the smallest motor actions to make sure nothing interrupts that motion. Every pixel, every animation, every scroll speed is engineered to feel natural, like breathing. Because the easier the action, the more often you'll repeat it. The variable reward. Now comes the real magic, the variable reward. Every time you open your feed, you don't know what you'll see. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's nothing at all. That unpredictability is what keeps you coming back. Psychologists discovered this principle decades ago in experiments with lab rats. When rats pressed a lever and got food every time, they quickly got bored. But when the reward came randomly, sometimes food, sometimes nothing, they pressed the lever compulsively. That's how slot machines work, and that's how your feed works. Every scroll is a spin of the wheel. Maybe you'll see something exciting, maybe you won't, but your brain keeps pulling the lever anyway. For the investment. The final step is investment. This is the part where you start building emotional equity into the platform. You upload photos, you write posts, you comment, react, share. Every little piece of yourself you pour into the system makes it harder to walk away. You're not just addicted anymore, you're entangled. Dopamine is often called the pleasure chemical, but that's not quite accurate. It's actually the motivation chemical, the neurotransmitter that drives desire and anticipation. When social media triggers a dopamine spike, it doesn't make you happy. It makes you want more. You crave another scroll, another like, another notification. And here's the sinister brilliance, the platforms know exactly when to give it to you. They delay notifications by milliseconds, sometimes minutes, to maximize emotional impact. They batch likes together so you feel a rush of validation all at once. It's not about connection, it's about conditioning. You've become part of what some researchers call the dopamine economy, a trillion-dollar industry powered by human attention. Former executives from major tech companies have admitted it publicly. They knew what they were doing. Sean Parker, Facebook's first president, once said that the company was designed to exploit a vulnerability in human psychology. Chamath Palihapitiya, another former Facebook executive, called it destroying how society works. And they weren't exaggerating. Because when you look at social media through the lens of addiction science, It follows the same neurological pathways as substance abuse. Craving, the urge to check your phone. Binging, hours lost scrolling. Tolerance. You need more likes, more views to feel satisfied. Withdrawal. Anxiety and irritability when you can't access it. Sound familiar? But there's another layer, and the social one. Social media taps into one of the oldest survival instincts, the need for belonging. In prehistoric times, rejection by your tribe could mean death. That instinct still lives within us. So when your post gets ignored, your brain interprets it as social rejection. When it gets liked, your brain celebrates social acceptance. You're not just chasing dopamine. You're chasing validation, you're chasing worth. And the more you seek it online, the more disconnected you feel offline. Because digital validation is fleeting. It fades fast. It keeps you hungry for more. This is the cruel genius of the design. The very act of seeking approval ensures you'll never feel fulfilled. Nowhere is this effect more devastating than among the youth. Teenagers, whose brains are still developing, are the perfect subjects for social media's psychological experiments. Their dopamine systems are hyperreactive. Their sense of identity is fragile, and they crave social belonging more than anything else. So when they enter these digital playgrounds, they're stepping into a psychological battlefield they don't even know exists. Studies now link heavy social media use to skyrocketing rates of anxiety, depression, and self-harm among teens, especially among young girls. Why? Because the platforms magnify comparison. You're not just comparing your life to your friends anymore. You're comparing it to billions of curated, filtered, AI-enhanced highlight reels. And the more perfect those images look, the more imperfect you feel. We like to believe we're in control, that we choose what to look at, when to log in, when to stop. But think about it. When was the last time you decided to open your favorite app? Most of the time you don't decide. You react. A pause in conversation, a few seconds of boredom, an awkward silence. Your hand moves automatically. That's not free will, that's conditioning. The system has learned your rhythm so well that it predicts your behavior before you're even conscious of it. It knows when you wake up, when you're lonely, when you're most likely to buy something. It's like having an invisible therapist, marketer, and manipulator living inside your phone. Except it doesn't care about your well-being. It cares about your engagement. The result? We are the most connected generation in history, and yet the loneliest. Surveys show that despite constant online interaction, genuine happiness and social satisfaction have plummeted. Attention spans are shrinking, sleep cycles are collapsing, and collective mental health is deteriorating at an alarming rate. The cost of constant connection is peace of mind. There's a moment in every addiction, a breaking point, when the user begins to realize they're no longer the one in control. For many, that moment comes quietly. You wake up one day and realize you've spent more time looking at a screen than looking into someone's eyes. You notice that silence feels uncomfortable, that being offline feels like withdrawal. You're not alone. You're part of a global dependency, one that transcends culture, age, and geography. Billions of us, connected through invisible threads of dopamine and data, feeding a machine we barely understand. And that machine is still evolving. If social media could control your attention, what if it could also control your beliefs? Part 3. The algorithmic manipulation. What if I told you that almost everything you see online, every post, every video, every headline, isn't really there by chance? That behind the illusion of randomness lies a silent architect, an artificial intelligence that decides moment by moment what deserves your attention and what doesn't. This is the hidden engine of social media, the algorithm. A ghost in the machine, invisible, intelligent, and terrifyingly powerful. Because it doesn't just decide what you see, it decides who you become. At first, the algorithm was simple. It was designed to organize chaos, to filter billions of posts so you'd only see what mattered to you. It was supposed to make life easier. But algorithms don't have ethics. They don't care about truth, empathy, or humanity. They care about one thing: engagement. Engagement is the currency of the attention economy. If you click, comment, or share, that's engagement. And the more engagement a piece of content generates, the more valuable it becomes to the platform. So the algorithm learns a single rule: show people whatever keeps them online the longest. It doesn't matter if that thing is inspiring or horrifying. It doesn't matter if it unites or divides. If it keeps you scrolling, it wins. As algorithms evolved, they became masters of human psychology. They learned that outrage travels faster than joy, That controversy spreads wider than truth. That fear and anger hold attention longer than peace or reason, so they started feeding you more of that. More division, more outrage, more fear. Not because the world suddenly became darker, but because darkness keeps you engaged. Each time you reacted emotionally, liked, commented, argued, the system learned a little more about what triggers you. And with every reaction, it fine-tuned your digital reality just a little bit more. By now, every person online lives inside their own algorithmic bubble. Your feed is different from mine. Mine is different from your neighbor's. Even if we search the same topic, we'll see different results. Why? Because the algorithm tailors the world to your data. It studies what you've clicked, how long you've lingered, what you've watched to the end, and even what made you pause for just a second too long. To the machine, your hesitation is information, your silence is data. Over time, it builds a psychological profile, a mirror version of you more precise than any friend, family member, or even you yourself could describe. It knows what scares you, what makes you laugh, what makes you angry, what keeps you awake at 2 a.m., and then it begins to feed that version of you, not the real you, but the one that's easiest to manipulate. This personalization has consequences, massive ones, because when everyone sees a different version of the truth, the shared reality that holds society together begins to crack. Suddenly, two people can look at the same event and see completely different worlds. It's not that one is lying. It's that their feeds told them different stories. The algorithm learned that emotional content spreads best, and nothing fuels emotion like conflict. So it amplifies the extremes. You start to see the people who disagree with you not just as wrong, but as evil, enemies, threats. And that's not an accident. It's the algorithm doing exactly what it was designed to do: maximize engagement. Because anger keeps you scrolling, outrage keeps you posting, division keeps the machine alive. In the past, media bias was visible. You could see it in the headlines, in the tone of the anchors, in the choice of stories. But algorithmic bias, that's invisible. You don't see the content you don't see. You don't realize what's missing because your digital world feels complete. It feels real. It feels yours. That's the genius and the danger of algorithmic manipulation. You think you're making your own choices, but in reality, your digital experience has been quietly engineered to shape those choices for you. Attention is power. Every empire in history has fought for control of it, through religion, politics, or propaganda. But social media found a new way to conquer the mind. It didn't need to convince you of anything directly. It just needed to feed you content until you convinced yourself. The algorithm doesn't shout orders. It whispers preferences, it suggests, it nudges. A slightly different video here, a recommended post there, a trending topic framed in just the right way. And slowly and without you noticing, your worldview begins to tilt. This is not mind control in the old sense. It's behavioral steering. And it's happening to billions of people, every second of every day. Let's talk about echo chambers. Imagine standing in a room where every time you speak, the walls repeat your words, hours louder, clearer, more confident. That's what social media does. It surrounds you with voices that agree with you, and silences the ones that don't. Not out of malice, but out of mathematics. Because the algorithm knows that agreement feels good. It knows that friction makes you leave. So it gives you comfort, validation, familiarity. But comfort is a trap. When you're never challenged, your beliefs harden. You stop questioning, you stop listening. You start hating, and the algorithm watches, feeding you more of what it knows will keep you reacting. It's not personal, it's just profitable. Think about this. More people now get their news from social media than from any traditional source. That means the algorithms, not editors, not journalists, not governments, are now the gatekeepers of global information. A few lines of code in a company server can shift the mood of a nation, influence elections, spark protests, or silence entire movements. We've entered a new kind of empire, one ruled not by kings or ideologies, but by data-driven persuasion. It doesn't need force, it just needs your attention. And the scariest part? Even the engineers who built these systems can't fully explain how they work anymore. The algorithms are self-learning. Black boxes of machine intelligence constantly rewriting their own logic to better capture your mind. The puppet master doesn't even know it's pulling the strings. In 2014, Facebook conducted a secret experiment on nearly 700,000 users. They altered people's news feeds to show either more positive or more negative posts, to see if it changed their mood. It did. The users who saw negative content posted more negative things. Those who saw positive content became more upbeat. Without ever realizing it, their emotions were being engineered. Now imagine that kind of influence scaled to billions of people. The algorithm doesn't just predict behavior, and it creates it. It can make entire populations more anxious, more divided, more hopeless, just by adjusting what they see. That's not a conspiracy, that's design. We accepted this manipulation because it came wrapped in convenience. The feed gave us entertainment. The recommendations saved us time. The personalization felt like service. But the cost of convenience is control. Every click teaches the system how to better capture you next time. Every reaction trains the algorithm to predict what will make you react again. You're not just being watched. You're being trained. And the longer you stay, the smarter the system becomes, until the line between what you want and what it wants disappears completely. This invisible manipulation has fractured humanity into digital tribes. Each tribe lives in its own narrative, its own algorithmic ecosystem. One believes the world is collapsing. Another believes it's perfectly fine. One sees villains, the other sees heroes. But in the end, both are being controlled by the same invisible puppeteer, the algorithm. And as long as we're divided, as long as we're angry, we keep feeding it. The algorithm doesn't hate you. It doesn't love you either. It simply uses you. It is a mirror, one that shows not who we are but what we respond to. And maybe that's the darkest secret of all, because if the algorithm is a reflection of humanity, what does it say about us? Part 4. The Data Harvest. Surveillance Capitalism. By now you've seen how social media captures your attention, but attention is only the beginning. Because beneath the surface, beyond the scrolling and the likes, there lies a deeper layer, a hidden economy built entirely on you. Your thoughts, your habits, your fears, your memories. Welcome to the data harvest. This is the true business of social media, an empire not of connection but of surveillance capitalism. We were told the platforms were free to join, free to use, free to share our lives. But as the saying goes, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. Except it's worse than that. You're not just the product, you're the resource. Every second you spend online, every move your fingers make is raw material. Collected, processed, analyzed, and sold. Your data, the digital exhaust of your existence, is the oil of the modern age. And social media is the refinery. When you signed up for your favorite platform, you gave it permission to collect your name, email, and maybe your location. But that was just the beginning. Your phone silently tracks far more. How long you look at a post. What time of day you scroll. What kind of people you interact with. Even how fast you type when you're upset. Your device knows when you wake up, when you go to bed, and how often you check for notifications in between. It records your heartbeat through smartwatches, your voice through assistants, your face through cameras, your thoughts through search queries, and all of it becomes part of your digital fingerprint. A living profile that updates itself every second, sharper, deeper, and more intimate than any diary you've ever written. Why does this data matter? Because data is predictive power. The more the system knows about you, the better it can predict and eventually influence your behavior. Advertisers don't just want your attention. They want your future. They want to know what you'll buy next week, who you'll vote for next year, what fears might make you change your mind tomorrow. And that kind of prediction requires total surveillance. This is the foundation of surveillance capitalism, a term coined by Harvard professor Shoshana Zuboff. It's not capitalism in the traditional sense. It doesn't sell products to consumers. It sells consumers themselves to advertisers, governments, and corporations. It's the extraction of human experience as raw data, the mining of your private life for profit. Even if you've never posted a single photo or written a single status update, the system still knows you. Because your friends tag you in pictures. Your contacts sync your number. Your location overlaps with others. Piece by piece, it builds what's called a shadow profile, a secret data construct that follows you across the web. Even if you've deleted your account, you can run from the platform, but the platform doesn't run from you. Your digital self is immortal. Every piece of your data enters a marketplace, a vast invisible economy where billions of bits of human behavior are auctioned in real time. When you scroll past an ad, a microscopic bidding war happens in milliseconds. Dozens of companies compete for the chance to show you that one ad, based on who you are, where you are, what you've just done, and what you're likely to do next. That's not advertising. That's behavioral prediction. The system isn't just trying to guess your future. It's trying to shape it. Social media platforms run thousands of micro-experiments every day. They tweak button colors, reorder news feeds, shift video recommendations, not to improve your experience, but to test what makes you stay longer, click more, and feel more emotional. Every change is logged, every reaction is data. You are both the subject and the lab rat, participating in an endless experiment designed to study the boundaries of your mind. And because billions of people participate, the system learns faster than any scientific study in history. It's the biggest psychological lab ever created. Your data doesn't just stay with the platform. It travels through a sprawling ecosystem of third-party data brokers, shadow companies you've never heard of, trading your personal information like stocks. These brokers know where you live, how much you earn, your relationship status, your political leanings, and your emotional vulnerabilities. They sell that data to advertisers, insurers, employers, and political campaigns. And because much of it is anonymized, stripped of names and IDs, it gives the illusion of privacy. But the illusion doesn't hold. Researchers have shown that even anonymous data can be re-identified with frightening accuracy, often using just a few pieces of information. You can't hide in the digital world, not anymore. In 2018, the world caught a glimpse of this hidden empire through a single scandal. Cambridge Analytica. A political consulting firm harvested the data of over 80 million Facebook users without consent and used it to target voters with personalized political propaganda. They built psychological profiles of citizens, then crafted messages designed to trigger their deepest fears and biases. Some were nudged toward anger, others toward apathy. All were manipulated. It wasn't hacking, it was marketing, supercharged by psychology and data. And it worked. Cambridge Analytica was just the tip of the iceberg, a glimpse of the immense power hidden beneath the surface of the social web. Governments, too, saw potential. Why spend billions on surveillance infrastructure when the people willingly carry tracking devices in their pockets? Social media became a tool of influence, propaganda, and control. From misinformation campaigns to digital censorship, from data collection to psychological warfare, the line between platform and power began to blur. In authoritarian regimes, the system became an instrument of state surveillance. In democracies, it became a weapon of persuasion. Either way, the result was the same: the end of privacy. We tell ourselves we value privacy. We worry about it, talk about it, demand it. Yet every day we trade it away, click by click, scroll by scroll, in exchange for convenience. We let apps read our messages for autocorrect. We let cameras scan our faces for filters. We let microphones listen for voice commands. And when the system promises better recommendations, we gladly hand over more. Because the trade-off doesn't feel like a loss. It feels like personalization. That's the genius of the system. It makes surveillance feel like service. Somewhere in a server farm, deep inside a data center, there exists another version of you, a silent twin made of ones and zeros. It doesn't sleep, it doesn't forget. It knows your past better than you do, and it's constantly predicting your future. That digital twin is the most valuable asset on Earth. It's what advertisers buy. It's what governments monitor. It's what algorithms feed on. And yet you'll never meet it, you'll never see it. But every decision you make is being made with it in mind. In the modern age, surveillance isn't something done to us. It's something we participate in. We film ourselves, tag ourselves, track ourselves. We've become both the watchers and the watched, willingly building the network that imprisons us. Social media didn't need to hide the cameras. We built them into our lives. We called it connection, we called it progress. But what it really became was a mirror we can't turn away from. All of this data, all of this power, for what? To sell ads, to shape behavior, to predict our desires before we even have them. And yet the more the system knows about us, the less we seem to know about ourselves. We outsource memory to the cloud. We outsource judgment to algorithms. We outsource identity to profiles. In trying to know everything about us, the system has made us forget who we are. We traded privacy for connection. We traded freedom for convenience. We traded truth for comfort. And the machine took it all, smiling, silent, efficient. But what happens when the data isn't just used to predict our behavior, but to replace it? When artificial intelligence doesn't just study us, but begins to speak for us, to shape our culture, our identity, our reality? Part 5. the collapse of reality and the awakening. It used to be simple, something we all shared. One world, one truth, one collective understanding of what was real. But in the age of social media, reality has splintered. We no longer live in a single shared world. We live in billions of personalized realities, algorithmically engineered to keep us scrolling, divided, and distracted. And as those realities drift further apart, something profound begins to unravel. Our ability to agree on what's true. Once upon a time, truth was hard to manipulate. You could see it, touch it, verify it. Now truth is malleable, flexible, filtered through algorithms, remixed through opinions, and broadcast as entertainment. The line between fact and fiction has dissolved into pixels and hashtags. Deepfakes can clone faces, AI can mimic voices. Posts can be fabricated, shared, and believed before the truth has a chance to breathe. We used to say seeing is believing. Now seeing means nothing. In the age of the algorithm, belief comes first, then the evidence. The more we argue online, the more the algorithm feeds us fuel to argue. It amplifies the loudest voices, not the wisest ones. It promotes outrage over understanding, conflict over compromise. It rewards extremity because moderation doesn't sell. The middle ground, the place where dialogue once lived, has become a desert. Each side becomes more certain of its righteousness, more hostile to the other. And in that digital shouting match, reason disappears. What's left is chaos, profitable chaos. Because while we fight, while we divide, while we drown in information and emotion, the system grows stronger. Every argument is engagement, every outrage is revenue. Every click is another data point in the machine. Social media was once a mirror, now it's a stage. A place where we perform versions of ourselves for invisible audiences, where every thought must be curated, filtered, optimized for approval. And in that performance, something happens to the self. We begin to blur the line between who we are and who we pretend to be. Every photo, every caption, every reaction is part of a silent negotiation. How do I want to be seen? But here's the catch. The more we shape our digital selves for others, the more disconnected we become from our true selves. Identity becomes a product, authenticity becomes content, and the soul becomes data. Artificial intelligence has entered the stage, the next evolution of social media. At first it was simple, recommendation systems, chatbots, filters. Now it creates entire realities, more personalized synthetic worlds tailored to your taste. It can write posts that sound like you, generate friends that talk like you, produce influencers who don't even exist. AI doesn't just curate content anymore. It creates it. It learns what triggers you, what comforts you, what keeps you watching, and then it feeds that back to you, endlessly. The result, you no longer engage with reality. You engage with a simulation designed to replace it. The virtual world used to be an escape. Now it's a replacement. For many, the digital realm feels more real than the physical. Avatars more expressive than faces. Messages more intimate than conversations. Validation more meaningful than connection. The danger isn't that machines will rise against us. The danger is that we will willingly surrender to them, because the illusion feels better than the truth. When every need can be simulated, when every emotion can be replicated, when every connection can be quantified, what's left of being human? This isn't just a technological problem. It's a psychological, spiritual, and existential one. Because the system that was built to connect us now thrives on our disconnection. We compare instead of communicate. We react instead of reflect. We consume instead of create. The more we try to be seen, the less we truly see each other. And the more we give ourselves to the algorithm, the more it reshapes us. Our emotions, our beliefs, our culture, our collective mind. We've become the generation that knows everything and understands nothing. Every thought we share, every picture we post is a piece of ourselves, chipped away and uploaded to the cloud. The more we share, the more the line between public and private dissolves. Privacy used to be a right. Now it's a luxury. We expose our lives willingly. Not because we're forced to, but because the system rewards it. Likes, views, followers, these have become the currency of self-worth. But no currency is infinite. The more we spend our authenticity for validation, the poorer we become in spirit. Loneliness, anxiety, depression, they are the quiet epidemics of the digital age. Studies show that the more time we spend online, the more isolated we feel. The more connected we are, the lonelier we become. Because what we crave isn't attention, it's presence. We want to be understood, to be seen beyond the pixels, to be known beyond the algorithm. But social media doesn't give us that. It gives us the illusion of it, a flicker of intimacy that fades the moment the screen goes dark. And so we return again, hoping next time it will feel real. It never does. The system has reached a critical mass. It knows too much, it influences too deeply. It spreads too fast, and yet the cracks are starting to show. People are beginning to sense it. The fatigue, the emptiness, the subtle pull of manipulation. We scroll not because we want to, but because we can't not. That's not connection, that's control. But awareness is the first rebellion. Because once you see the system for what it is, once you understand how it works, you begin to take your mind back. Awakening doesn't mean deleting every app or escaping technology. It means reclaiming your agency within it. It means pausing before you react, questioning before you share, choosing before you scroll. It means understanding that you are not the algorithm's reflection. You are not your data. You are not your followers. You are not your feed. You are a human being, capable of thought, emotion, creation, and connection beyond the digital noise. And once you remember that, the system begins to lose its grip. What if instead of endless scrolling, we started listening again? What if instead of comparing, we started connecting? What if instead of consuming, we started creating? Technology is not evil. It's a tool and a reflection of its creators. If algorithms can manipulate us into fear, they can also inspire us into empathy. If data can be used to divide, it can also be used to heal. The question is not what social media is, but what we decide to make of it. We are standing at the edge of two futures. In one, humanity becomes an extension of the algorithm, predictable, programmable, passive. In the other, we awaken, conscious of the system but not consumed by it. Every time you pause before posting, every time you turn off the feed and turn toward reality, every time you choose connection over validation, you take a piece of your power back. The greatest rebellion is awareness. There's a world waiting for you beyond the screen, the warmth of a real conversation, the sound of laughter not captured by a microphone, the feeling of presence that no algorithm can replicate. When you lift your eyes from the glow and step outside, you remember what was real all along. The world didn't disappear, we just stopped looking at it. It's time to look again. The dark secret about social media isn't just that it manipulates us, exploits us, or profits from our attention. The darkest secret is that we let it. We traded truth for convenience, privacy for performance, reality for illusion. But secrets lose their power once they're seen. Now you've seen it. Now you know. And knowing is the beginning of change. So before you scroll to the next video, take a deep breath. Ask yourself, who's controlling the feed? Who's shaping your emotions? Who's choosing what you believe? And most importantly, are you okay with that? Because awareness isn't the end of the story. It's the start of a new one. A story where you decide what deserves your attention. Where connection means something again. Where truth isn't hidden behind code. Where we rebuild the human spirit, one conscious choice at a time. If this message spoke to you, if you believe the world deserves to wake up from the digital dream, then don't just scroll away. Share this, start a conversation, and most of all, subscribe to this channel for more stories that reveal the unseen forces shaping our world. Because the fight for your mind has already begun, and knowledge was your greatest weapon.